Okay, today online presentation consists of 7 presenters from tracks, linguistics and language, Islamic studies, and economics. The session chair today is Dr. Alam Zebhata from the International Islamic University, Islamabad, Pakistan. Welcome, Dr. Alam Zebhata. Thank you and glad to see you in this room session. How are you, Doctor?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I'm fine, and I'm hopeful that all the presenters, all the participants will be well and okay.
Inshallah.
Before starting the presentations, I want to introduce myself.
Perhaps let me introduce you, Doctor.
Yes, please.
Okay. Dr. Alam Zebhata is an organizational psychologist currently working with emergency rescue, service rescue, level 22 in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Pakistan. He holds a doctorate in psychology from the International Islamic University, Islamabad, Master Philosophy in Psychology from Preston University with distinction, and a postgraduate diploma in criminology from AIOU, Islamabad. With a strong research background, he has published numerous articles in areas such as organizational psychology, clinical psychology, Islamic psychology, criminology, extremism, substance abuse, and psychological testing. He has also served as an expert reviewer for various national and international journals, including Armed Forces Medical Journal and Global Journal Psychology. And Dr. Hatak is an active member of academic societies such as Pakistan Psychological Association, Pakistan Psychological Society, ISSUP, TWASP, and Australian and New Zealand Mental Health Association, focusing on emerging field of Islamic psychology. Okay. Dr. Alam, thank you for your support in this conference and for being with us today. From now onwards, I will pass the session to be led by you. Now, the time is yours to chair the session. Please welcome Dr. Alam.
Thank you so much. It gives me an immense pleasure that I'm part of this Research Synergy Foundation from the last 2 years. I'm also working as editorial member of one of the important journal of Research Synergy Foundation. I think this is my third international conference that I'm chairing, working as a session chair. So I think guidelines are displayed already on the screen, that every presenter will present their research within 10 minutes. After that, 5 minutes will be given for question and answer session. All of the participants are requested to please mute their mic, because in the presentation time, we expect that there will be no noise and no disturbance. So I request the first presenter to come and start their presentation, please. The topic of this first paper is verbal abuse by netizens on social media against YouTubers, child-free decision statement named Geeta Savitri, which will be presented by Hamida Zakia. So Hamida, please start your presentation. Hamida, are you listening me?
Miss Hamida.
Please unmute your mic and start your presentation. Please unmute your mic, Hamida. Are you listening me? Hamida, I think it's they have not muted their mic. So I request the administration to unmute their mic, please.
Miss Hamida, you can unmute yourself, Miss. I think due to the signal problem.
No, there is no, I think no signal issue. They have muted their mic.
Miss Hamida, please mute yourself. We are already set up.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm sorry. There is a technical issue.
Okay. I miss yours. Okay.
Let me share the screen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In this insightful session of 4th International Conference on Islamic Epistemology, allow me to thanks for this opportunity that has given to us to present our research paper under the title Verbal Abuse by Netizens on Social Media Against YouTubers Child-Free Decision Statement named Geeta Savitri. Second time, let me introduce our team. With me, Hamida Zakia, and my partner, Aulia Azka Ariba. We are the students of al-azhar University of Indonesia. Before we jump to our material, these are our content lists. So first, we will discuss about the introduction, second, literature review, third, methodology, fourth, finding, fifth, discussion, and the last is conclusion.
Okay, so the first one is the introduction. To introduce our study, we begin with the information spread quickly on social media in this modern era. As we all know, social media is a tool to share and gain information instantly in our daily life, which causes the spreading of different foreign cultures ideas that opens the possibility of controversy and debate among the users of social media itself. Lately, an Indonesian YouTuber as well as an influencer named Geeta Savitri, or also known as Geeta Sav, has been a subject of public discussion due to her statement on social media about her decision to be child-free. Her statement resulted various responses, both criticism and support, which most of them contains negative responses considered as verbal abuse. Verbal abuse is a type of verbal violence directed at a person's inner self in the form of insults, threats, and slander that hurts both the feelings and self-esteem of the other person. Based on the problems, this study aims to identify what types of verbal abuse are thrown by netizens to Geeta Savitri on social media, both Twitter and Instagram. According to Jehan, 2021, verbal abuse involved the repeated and deliberate use of hurtful language or harsh tone to exert control over someone else to damage the feelings and reputation of the target.
The next is literature review. In our research, we use the theory from Baryadi 2012. These are the types of verbal abuse. The first one is direct verbal abuse. Direct verbal abuse is violence perpetrated by speakers who directly harm their victims through direct communication. Second, indirect verbal abuse. indirect verbal abuse does not immediately affect its victim directly, but through the use of media or chain processes as intermediaries. The third is repressive verbal abuse. Repressive verbal abuse is a form of speech that aims to suppress or intimidate its victims, involving various types of utterances in this category. And the last is alienative verbal abuse. Alienative verbal abuse is a form of communication that aims to get rid of or even alienate the victim from the community or society.
Okay, so the next is the methodology. In our research, we use qualitative method, which contains 4 stages in analysis data. Those are discourse observation, data collection, data filtering, and data analysis. As mentioned before, the object of this research is verbal abuse uttered by netizens on social media posts and comment section related to Gita Savitri's child-free statement. To collect the data, we use observe method by collecting from social media, both Instagram posts, comment on Gita Savitri's account, as well as the Twitter comment and post.
The next is our finding. Researchers identified and classified the data into 4 types of verbal abuse according to Varedi 2012. There are 82 data were obtained, including 59 data from Twitter and 23 data from Instagram abusing Gita Savitri verbally. So first is directive verbal abuse. There are 49 data found, consisting 18 from Instagram and 31 from Twitter, including 8 types of verbal abuse, namely insulting, ridiculing, accusing, belittling, cursing, mocking, and blaming. Second is indirect verbal abuse. There are 24 data found, consisting 2 from Instagram, 22 from Twitter, including 3 different types of verbal abuse, which are stigmatization, defamation, and stereotype. The third is repressive verbal abuse. There are 5 data found, consisting 1 from Instagram and 4 from Twitter, including judging, provoking, ordering, and derisive. And fourth, alienative verbal abuse. There are 4 data found, consisting 2 from Instagram and 2 from Twitter, including 2 sorts of verbal abuse, namely cornering and expelling. And this is our discussion. So in our data, we provide 2 languages, both Indonesia and English, but in this presentation, I only read the English version. First, direct verbal abuse. In our research, we only mentioned 2 types of direct verbal abuse. So first, direct cursing verbal abuse. There is a comment from Twitter that said, Gita Sav is a cockade opinion pollster. This is considered as direct cursing verbal abuse because the speaker said a word cockade, which means in Indonesia is tolol. Tolol itself means very stupid. This word in Indonesia usually to express annoyance in harsh connotation. And second is direct blaming verbal abuse. There is a comment from Instagram that said, it's better to have a generation, even though it's a bit worse than not having a generation because feminist women who is anti-childbirth. This is considered as direct blaming verbal abuse because the speaker is blaming Gita Savitri's decision to be child-free, and there is a word because as the emphasize to blame, as if all the feminist women are anti-childbirth, including Gita Savitri. The next is indirect verbal abuse. We also only mentioned 2 types of indirect verbal abuse in our research. First, indirect stereotyping verbal abuse. There is a comment on Instagram that said, how come you say there's nothing wrong? This is clearly a deviating ideology. This is considered a stereotyping verbal abuse because the stereotype lies in the word deviating. In Cambridge dictionary, deviate means different from usual or common way of behaving. So in this comment, the speaker said that Gita Sav is the one who has deviate disordered ideology. So that is why this is considered a stereotyping verbal abuse. And next is indirect stigmatization verbal abuse. There's a comment on Instagram that stated child-free equals to weak faith. This is considered as stigmatization because the The speaker claims that those who decide to be child-free have a weak faith, which we as humans cannot determine others' faith. So this is considered a stigmatization verbal abuse. The next one is repressive verbal abuse. We also only mention two types of repressive verbal abuse. The first one is repressive judgmental verbal abuse. This is common from Instagram and said, our guideline is the Quran and Hadith, not the words of influencers. Be wary of agents who destroy faith and morals, who no longer dress sexy, but have pious face and veiled as if they reflect modern Muslim women. But the Aqidah and mindset deviate far from Islamic law. In this comment, the speaker behaved as a judge in criticizing the appearance of Gita Savitri that reflects a modern Muslim woman who has a deviant ideology, beliefs, and mindset. And next is repressive provoking verbal abuse. This is the statement posted on Twitter. It is said, just pray that Gita Sav is infertile so that she doesn't have trouble raking her brain to not get pregnant. Infertile in Indonesia means mandul. Mandul is the word that inappropriate to give to others. So this is considered as provoking verbal abuse because the speaker provoked Gita Sav emotion by inviting the public to pray Gita Sav being infertile.
Okay. So the next is alienative verbal abuse. In our research, we only mentioned two types of alienative verbal abuse. The first one is alienative verbal abuse. There is a comment from the Twitter that stated, let her be child-free, so such her thought won't breed. The clause so such her thought won't breed shows that there is a correlating alienative verbal abuse by unintended meaning that the speaker wants the similar thought as Gita Sav belief will not spread out broadly in society. The sentence can be interpreted that people who have thought like Gita Savitri must be eliminated, including Gita Sav itself. By saying those kinds of words, the speaker indirectly makes a statement that refers to corner Gita Sav and makes her being small in society by having her own belief that is child-free. And the next is alienative expelling verbal abuse. There's a comment from Instagram that stated thoughts which threaten human survival must be eradicated from the earth, more dangerous than an atomic bomb. Sentence uttered by the speaker indicates the presence of expelling alienative verbal abuse. The speaker claims that Gita Savitri ideas can harm the future of humankind by saying thoughts which threaten human survival. Thus, the speaker emphasizes the statement of expelling by saying indirectly that individuals who have the same thought as Gita Sav must be eradicated from the earth. Additionally, the speaker claims that Gita Sav belief pose a greater threat than an atomic bomb. This implies that the speaker wants to destroy Gita Savitri by persuading the public to believe that Gita Sav is a dangerous individual.
Now we come to our last part of our presentation, which is conclusion.
In conclusion, this study has provided the amount of data including several types of verbal abuse found from social media, from Twitter and Instagram related to Gita Savitri's health-free statement. Regarding the types of verbal abuse, there were 82 data of verbal abuse found on social media Instagram comments and Twitter posts against YouTuber named Gita Savitri, containing 49 instances of verbal abuse, with 18 from Instagram and 31 from Twitter. Additionally, 24 instances of indirect verbal abuse were found, with 2 from Instagram and 22 from Twitter. Repressive verbal abuse was observed in 5 instances, with 1 from Instagram and 4 from Twitter. Alienative verbal abuse was found in 4 instances, with 2 from Instagram and 2 from Twitter.
That's all of our presentation. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Hamida. I think till now there is no question for you, but I have a question in my mind. And this is, you have researched a very sensitive area. That's okay. Are you listening me? You have researched a very sensitive area, can you explain that you have approved your study from the ethical review board, or you have taken a consent from Savitri? Please.
I'm sorry, sir. Could you please repeat the questions?
Again, I'm repeating the question that you have researched a very sensitive area. Okay. Can you please explain that you have taken ethical review board approval, or you have taken a consent from the Savitri?
Oh, yes, sir. For the Instagram data, we collect from Gita Savitri's column comment post, and for the Twitter, because she no longer use Twitter, so we collect the data from the posts from netizen as well as the comment regarding Gita Savitra.
Okay, please keep in mind there are more seniors to me participating in the conference, but so far as I think that research is very sensitive, is a very good approach, which needs justification in every field. Like you have researched this area, so it must be justification in your presentation that we have taken consent from Savitri, or we have taken approval from the ethical review board of your university. So you must keep in mind that again, if you have any idea for the future research, you must have approval from your ethical review board of your university. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a very nice presentation. I think all of the participants have enjoyed this presentation. So I request the second one to please start their presentation, because till now there is no question for Hamida Zakia. So I'm requesting from the second presenter to please start their presentation and start screen sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, Doctor. We have several questions here. Doctor?
It's okay. It's okay. Please.
Okay. We'll go to the next presenter. We will continue the sharing session in the last of the session. Okay.
Can you please continue your question, or we go for next presentation?
We still have time to answer the question actually.
It's okay. If
It's okay.
any participant have questions, so please come. They can post their question in the chat box, please. Ahmad, I think there is no question, so we can proceed towards the second presentation, please. We are receiving some messages in the chat box. These are all the appreciation for Hamida Zakia, and there is no question till now, but all of the messages contain appreciation for them. So I also appreciate this presentation, and I'm hopeful that they will try to adjust the suggestions given. So I think this is the time that we can proceed towards the second presenter. Please, Mohammed.
Mr. Adamu Abu Bakar Muhammad, are you with us? Okay, Doctor. Since now we haven't have a news about Mr. Ibrahim, we will continue to the next presenter. Okay, for the next, Mr. Widyo Rianto, are you here with us?
Okay, siap. Okay, I'll be ready.
Okay, good. Thank you. So the title is Interactive Learning, Media Design, Knowing Hadiya, Letter for Deaf Persons Based Otherwhere. So please, Ved, you start your presentation.
Okay, good afternoon to the organization of the conference program, and ladies and gentlemen, of our conference participant. Previously, apologies for not being proficient in making paper, so there are lots of improvement, and also not proficient in English. But and just to have first is the activity. That's okay. My paper is interactive learning media design knowledge hidayah. Yeah, letter for their person based macro media authorware. Des program teknik informatika ya. Fakultas Sains Teknologi Universitas Islam Asafiyah. My name is Widyo Rianto, Eskom MMSI Interaktif ya. Author my name is my friend Ahmad Fatih, Eskom MMSI. Introduction, the background is the development of computer technology, which is already multimedia in science, which is also computer based, because researchers at the Islamic University combine science and religion. The research design and knowledge management program, for interactive learning media recognize hidayah letter for the depth base of macro media authorware. Research methods, system development. The system development use is the waterfall methods, waterfall model, software, design, making program, discipline program, testing, and evaluation. Now, is the result and discussion menu on the will display the title of the program and animation nurse. To start with, name the logo of the study program, identity, and little of the hidayah saying in length program. There is also a background, so that it is not read and entertaining as in the picture below. Is the activasi menu. Menu activasi. The next view is the activation menu. Their user can write their own name or registrasi for the program. Is picture activity activasi is name user instructional objective menu on the page auto display on the objective in using this multimedia program. The objective here are general instructional objective and specific instructional objective. In this learning program, you will learn to practice Arab sing length hidayah letter. This need is giving hidayah letter and its implementation on a Windows computer. In general, after learning this material you are expected to be able to spell Hidayah letter using in language correctly. Letter and test menu is a interesting and edukasi learning media and show about the program. Only push the icon on the lesson place in an empty column. This main menu, this display has 3 bottom letter menu, bottom letter bottom and cross bottom to and edukasi. This menu is accompanied by music or called background. The display of the education start page in show in the figure below. Lettering menu, page in letter menu, so is figure 3. There are 5 home button. To return to the menu, there is an cross X button, exit and program, and arrow button to the right and left to continue the next letter. Also an question with a voice for the combination or teacher of accompanies him. Menu test is the menu that is calculation of how too many are correct and how too many are wrong to the overall value of the test result can be calculated. In addition, on the test menu, there is a face bottom as but tools is assigning the companion. Where there is the approaching or not is the learning process. Under the menu, there is picture of a house to return to this initial appearance and cross to exit. Exit. That is menu, home. This sound, testing and analysis. This testing analysis carried off to the test the work of the entire program. Testing the program using the black box method. For this test focus on the program that has been created. Whether the program implementation run well or not. In black box testing in done by testing all menu in the program where their product the design result or not. Table 1 show the result of testing with black box. The closing based of the result of this study, it can be concluded that design an interactive learning media program to recognize the Hidayah letter for the deaf can help make it easier for people to research this lesson. The design of the interactive learning media program to know Hidayah letter for the deaf which is made can as in educator in teaching or parents at home and facilitate the learning process for the deaf. This program can run well on desktop and laptop device that is evidenced by the black box test result with so all program are running well. This program can run on PC or desktop. This biography and that's my presentation. Sorry if there are words that are not pleasing. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Valio, for your presentation. Actually, I was wondered about your presentation that the research design you have used here in your study, it is designed by you, or there was any study before this, but you have displayed already bibliography here. So let me check the chat box for a question. I think there is no question for you. There is no question for you. So I will request Mohammed to that we can proceed towards the third presenters. But before going to the third presenter, Mohammed, please check the second one. I think it was Ibrahim, that if he is present here, so we can proceed towards him.
Okay, we'll continue to the next presenter.
Mohammed, are you listening me? Okay, this is the next presentation in chat room, breakout room 2. The title is The Scientific Truth in the Stories of the Quran, a philosophical approach to prove the truth of stories. Looks very beautiful title, and I think we will enjoy this presentation. So please come, Muhammad Rizwan, and start your presentation, please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Alam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, amma ba'du. All praises belong to Allah, the Almighty, the most merciful and beneficent. May Allah always bless us with the best health and the everlasting endeavor in bringing Islamic value system as a framework of the development of science, technology, innovation to improve quality of the ummah and human life. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to convey my warm regards to all participants in this room. Thank you to the chair of the session, Dr. Alam, to allow me presenting our paper in front of all of you. Please allow me to share my slide, Dr. Alam. Okay. Our paper under title Scientific Truths in the Stories of the Quran, a philosophical approach to prove the truth of the stories. We made by Muhammad Ridwan, myself from Universitas al-azhar Indonesia, Jakarta, and then Agus Imam Haromen from State Islamic University Wali Songo Semarang, and UU Syarifuddin from State Islamic University Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta. The background is so simple. As we knew, some people said that the majority of the stories or qasas in the Quran was legend or heroic stories, when the others said it's just a religious story. Okay. At least we found four perspectives in the story of Quran, of qasas. The first perspective from Afif Abdul Fattah Tobaro, the majority ulama, Jumhurul Ulama. In his book Ruhuddin al-Islami, he said that the qasas in the Quran just religious story. So do with Amro Khalid in Qira'ah Jadidah wa Ru'yah fi Qasas al-Anbiya has the same perspective with Tobaro. And the second, we find Muhammad Ahmad Khalafullah in his book Al-Fan al-Qasasi fil Quran, that the story in the Quran, or qasas in the Quran, is just literary story. And then the third perspective we found from Muhammad Arkun in his book Al-Quran min Tafsir al-Mawrus and Al-Fikru al-Islam wa Naqd wa Ijtihad, and the other book in Rethinking Islam, Common Question and Common Question. That Arkun said that the story in the Quran, qasas, is just a symbol of human, or just a symbol of event that can repetition in other time. And the last we find from Abdullah Said in his book Interpreting the Quran Toward a Contemporary Approach, that we could use the other source to find is the story in the Quran is real or not. So from the 1, 2, and 3 speaker or perspective, we conclude they just say the story in the Quran just imaginative, myth, parable, or legend, and different with Abdullah Said. So this is make our question, a big question to us. Is it true that the story in the Quran just myth, imaginative, or parable that no need to prove real or not? This is our concern. And this is the research urgency. We find 4 urgency in this research. First, this study aims to describe, analyze, and reveal the contribution of philosophy, especially various theories of the truth, can prove that the stories in the Quran are true. It can prove that the story in the Quran is not just a literary story or a religious story. This is the first. And the second, this research also wanted to prove that the several stories in the Quran can be verified scientifically. So this study would add confidence to Muslims and strengthen the miracle of the Quran from scientific perspective. And the third, the research was useful for uncovering the theory of in the study of philosophy as a way to scientifically prove the truth of the Quranic verses. And last, this approach needs to be developed due to it has great ability to analyze and interpret stories in the Quran based on philosophical thoughts. Also, this research was expected to provide a methodological framework for studying and interpreting the stories in the Quran as true stories. This is a kind of stories in the Quran, as usually we find from Mana Khalil Al-Qattan. The first story in the stories about the stories of the prophets. In this section, it was taught the invitation of the prophet to their people preaching da'wah, the miracle that strengthened their preaching, how the attitude of those who were hostile to them, the stage of preaching and its development, and the consequences received by those who believe and those who deny. And the second, stories related to the event that happened in the past and people whose prophethood is uncertain. For the example, the story of a person who left his hometown for fear of the death. The story of Talut and Jalut. The story of the 2 sons of Adam. The story of inhabitant of the cave, Ashabul Kahfi, Zulkarnain, Qarun, people who catch fish on the Saturday, Ashabul Sabt, Maryam, Ashabul Ukhdud, Ashabul Fil, elephant trope, and so on. And the third, Al-Qattan said the stories related to the event that occurred during the time of the prophet, such as Battle of Badr or Battle of Uhud in the Al-Quran Surah Al-Imran, Hunain War and Tabuk War in Quran Surah At-Taubah, Ahzab War in Quran Surah Al-Ahzab, Hijrah event, Isra event, and others. This is the kind of stories in the Quran. So we talk about philosophical approach in religious studies. After we know the term of the causes in the Quran, the kind of the causes. So the philosophical approach in religious studies, Rob Fisher said that a philosophical approach in religious studies can be done by assessing evidence or evaluating the truth of what was claimed by religion. And then we have Ingolf Dalford. The relation between religion and philosophy focused on rationality. According to him, a philosophical approach to religion was a rational process. So we need the rational mindset. Now, this is the fourth theory of the truth. The first is the coherence theory of truth, was often called a theory of consistency of truth. This theory was an attempt to test the meaning of truth. A decision is correct if this decision is consistent with previous decision we received, and we know the truth. The correct decision is a decision that is logically related to other relevant decisions. So in studying the stories of the Quran, we can prove their truth with this story. First of all, we have paid the story in the Quran and the stories contained in the Bible. This is a perspective of Abdullah Said. As we all knew that the Quran did not tell stories in detail about an event. So if we want to know the detail, we can pay it to the Bible or to the other source. Even that will make the story, we call it Israeliyat in the Quran, or Israeliyat in the story of the Quran. And the second one, the theory of truth as correspondence developed by Aristotle. According to this theory, a statement is considered true if what is stated in it relates or has a relationship correspondence with reality. In studying the theory of truth about stories, first we have to look for the proposition from the information we got from the Quran. Suppose we want to prove the truth of the theory story of Ad and Samud and how the city of Iram was destroyed. The information we got in Quran Surah Al-Fajr 6-9, that the people of Ad and Samud already have the technology in build tall buildings. And the third, the pragmatic theory of truth was developed and exposed by pragmatic philosophers from America, such as Charles S. Peirce and William James. For them, truth was synonymous with usefulness. So a true idea, concept, statement, or hypothesis were a useful idea. This theory was also known as a theory of inherent truth. The verses about the story that could include in this framework of this theory were the verses about the story of the afterlife or hereafter, which of course has an impact on people becoming obedient because of the threat of hell. However, we have to be careful because the truth that was framed by this theory is relative. It has an impact on one person, but may not necessarily have an impact on others. Is forced finally the truth if the story will be deemed not to exist. This is we have to carefully. And then the fourth, the performative theory of truth was exposed by philosopher Frank Ramsey, John Austin, and Peter Strawson. According to this theory, a statement is considered true if it creates reality. The truth is only a confusion of language, and this results in a wash, because basically what is to be verified has the same logical degree. So this is the application of theory of truth to the stories in the Quran that relevant to the scientific truth, I said. We take an example in the story of Musa's stick could turn into snakes. We got information from Quran Surah Taha 17-21, Quran Surah An-Naml 9-10, Quran Surah Al-Qasas 31, and Quran Surah Ash-Shu'ara 32. In understanding how the stick of Prophet Musa could turn into a snake, the author referred to al-Bakilani thoughts about the atom. Atom, as the smallest particle of an object, was the smallest particle in the universe. This is what we know about the atom. Atoms were created, destroyed, created again, destroyed again, and so on. Its momentary existence was made possible by God's continuous involvement, creating, destroying, creating, and annihilating until God wants to stop. So this is the Islamic perspective from Bakilani, that all doing in this world, all happen in this world, have God hand in all event. According to the Al-Bakilani, Allah power allow changes in law that control the course of nature. This can happen easily for Allah. It just need to replace what is normally there and put the new art in the place of the existing art. Nature is composed of atom and accident and experiences continuous creation, destruction, and annihilation. When Allah created the atom of an object, He also created the accident that made the atom exist. When the atom disappeared, Allah replaced them with atom and accident in the same kind, as long as Allah will. So, when we trust this, always we have to know that Allah will is all the cause of the happen. This is the conclusion and further research. The story in the Quran, as we knew, contains story about prophecy, the event that happened in the past, fable, and other kind of story. Some stories could be proven the truth by using philosophical approach. In this paper, the author, we examine two stories. First story about the Prophet Musa with his stick could turn into snake or could splitting the water. But could splitting the water, we don't explain in this paper because due to the minimum word we can use in this paper. The other used Al-Bakilani theories about atom to explain how the stick could turn into the snake. Second, the author explained about the lost city of Iram from the story of Ad and Samud. The author used research of Nicholas Klepp to explain the archaeological finding proven that the city of Iram founded in the desert of South Arabia. This research explained that Quran Surah Fusilat 53 and Quran Surah Al-Fajr 6 to 9. For the further research, there are still many stories in the Quran that can be proven through with this approach. How are the stories divided? Which one are really just parable? Which one can be proven true? How can scientific truth combine with several approach, archaeological, scientific, and other approach, reveal the truth of the story in the Quran? For the further research, there's still many. Okay, I think enough here. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dr. Alam, I have finished my presentation.
Yes, Muhammad Rizwan, I really enjoyed. I'm waiting for questions in the chat room, but there is no question. But here is a request from Dr. Amir that can I access to this paper, I think, which is replied by Muhammad, that we can access in the
Yes, Dr. Alam.
I think Dr. Alam have a signal problem here.
Oh, yes.
Okay, we will try to reach him out. One moment. Okay, Dr. Alam is disconnect.
Okay, still back.
Hello, doctor.
I think there was issue in the internet.
Yes.
Rizwan, I'm repeating my question.
Yes.
That your study, the Quranic stories, was the review literature or this was a critical appreciation? So please explain with a few words.
Okay. Actually, I have one perspective, Dr. Alam, from Abid Al-Jabiri with three logical, Bayani, Burhani, and Irfani. but due to the limit of the word, so I don't put it in my presentation. From the perspective of Abid Al-Jabiri, I think this very comprehensive to explain about the stories in the Quran with his perspective. So he can explain very good, I think. Maybe next time I will make the paper to complete my research from the stories of the Quran. Thank you, Dr. Alam.
Dr. Alam. Hello, Doctor. We'll
Hello.
proceed to the next presenter. Thank you.
The next presentation is the alternative dispute resolution as principle of Islamic system and marriage conflicts among Muslim Ummah, which will be presented by Abu Bakr Muhammad. So Abu Bakr is here.
Yes, yes, here. Oh, Mr.
Okay,
Ibrahim
please.
Dahir. Okay.
Please, Abu Bakr, come.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Mr. Ibrahim,
Share the
you need
screen.
okay.
Naam.
I proceed.
Okay, let me try to share the.
Please share your screen.
Yes, I am trying to share the screen now, inshallah.
Please.
You need help to present your presentation, sir? I will help you to. Okay.
Inshallah, I will try to share the screen now, inshallah. Sorry, please. I'll wait for a while. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. We can see your
Yes,
PowerPoint.
started now.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. I am Ibrahim Dahir Idris by name, here to present a paper. The topic of our presentation is alternative dispute resolution, that is sulh as a principle of Islamic legal system on marriage conflict among Muslim Ummah. This paper has the following outline. First and foremost, the introduction, then objective, methodology, findings or research findings, and conclusion, inshallah. For the introduction, this paper, as I said, the introduction is the preamble of the Islam encourages people to solve their dispute in a peaceful way rather than in a conflict manner. Hence, in Islam, the disputing parties use the mechanisms of sulh to resolve dispute arising between them. It creates bondage among the peacemaking people of the community, as well as improves the relationship between the disputants. Disputes and disagreements have been as old as man himself, right from his creation by the Almighty Allah. This is due to the complexity of the nature of man. It is often said that no man is an island. Instinctively, man must interact, stay, and reason together through in a different way or different manners and approaches. Every relationship, including marriage, mostly in our area, that is Western Africa, in Hausa land, are not separated with internal or external conflict, be it minor or major ones. The marital conflict in marriages differs in nature as a result of causes, situation, background of conflict and of the couples, and also time, environment, level of maturity and discipline. There have been many solutions offered in dealing with such